This is the range master of city electric scooters. Turboant V8 promises up to 50 miles per charge, dual battery setup and super solid construction. Is this good enough? Let's inspect. So, welcome. Really good to meet you. Michael, my name, Tech for All. This is a brand new scooter, pretty interesting because it has one battery in here on the front and actually another one here at the bottom side. This is the latest coming from Turboant, a company you might remember with the idea to bring a lot of batteries to be removable. And in times where the electric scooter world is ruled by a few companies, it's really interesting to figure out whether this all-ranger with amazing achievements about mileage has actually some space in order to disrupt the markets. Let's figure this out. It comes at very competitive pricing given the range and the capabilities, so it's definitely going to make you think twice if you're planning to get another scooter. It's important to say that the USA compliant version has a top speed of 20 miles per hour, which is close to 33 kilometers per hour. I'm not sure at this point how Turboant are going to approach the European market. So, to be on the safe side, double-check the local regulations and make sure to fit within the required ranges. Unpacking. This has been a nice summer day, late morning, so it was hot. The total time that you have to spend on the assembling process is not that much. I guess the biggest challenge here is to take the scooter out of the box, then make sure to use the stand in order to have the steady basis. The only thing to mount is the handlebar. It is in one piece, unlike the X-Series where we have removable handles. Since the very beginning, I've had this feeling of holding something very solid, but it doesn't feel too heavy at the same time. So, before the first ride, besides a few screws that you need to take care of, make sure to check the tire pressure, charge the batteries to full, and get to read the user guide in order to find out more about your new scooter. If you're watching this video because you just want to stalk what Turboant have done, I guess we can talk specs now. There's a 450-watt motor which can reach speeds of up to 33 km per hour. Tires have a size of 9.3 inches, tubed, pneumatic, two 7.5 amp-hour batteries, reliable folding mechanism, waterproof grade is IP54, around 10 cm ground clearance, a nice-looking display, dual braking system, the usual accessories like front and tail light, bell and so on, and weight of 21.6 kilograms. So here is my take on the specs. Obviously the most remarkable part is about the battery because we have one in the stem, one here underneath below, and actually you can charge them in parallel because we have two charging ports, and that's gonna take up to 4 hours to charge both of them in parallel. But if you have just one single charger, you should expect around 8 hours to fully recharge. Still, 15 amp-hours, something very unusual for this size of scooter. Also, I can highlight the overall construction because it feels extremely solid, just as this folding mechanism, which is almost indestructible and also very easy to operate with. But I'm sure that you're here because you want to find out more about the specs in real-life performance, so let's hop on, make some kilometers and figure out what we can say about the motor. Having a dual-spring rear suspension for smoothing the riding experience, Turboant V8 actually feels good, although I'm not convinced it's any better than simply 10-inch tires without springs. If roads are flat, it's totally fine. Off-roads or paved areas or even sometimes tiles could feel a little irritating. The motor turned out to be also good, brushless type, placed inside the front wheel, good acceleration, or maybe I should say very good acceleration, pretty much beats most competitors in this city scooter niche about top speed. I recall that Navi S65 accelerates quicker, but it is noisier and limited to 25 km per hour. So here we have a good balance. It doesn't overheat, doesn't lose too much of the torque when batteries half empty, and in that regard, the choice for motor is pretty solid as well. But although advertised as 450 watts, it doesn't have more power than 9 Max or Xiaomi Scooter 4 Pro. As for the tires, perhaps it's kind of early to give a verdict about them, although to me, every 100 kilometers without a puncture are like a bliss. I hope Turboant will eventually go for tubeless tires with sealant inside. This is a lot safer option because the tire can self-heal from small punctures, and that's exactly what Xiaomi have implemented with their latest scooter edition. Since this is not the case with the V8, think about converting to tubeless yourself. The board is wide and long, covered by a rubber pad, easy to clean, not slippery at all. Also, thanks to the way the fender is attached to the frame, this seems to be a good area where you can rest one of your feet while you're riding. Underneath, if you haven't noticed yet, decent clearance. Turboant scooters are traditionally good about that. At the front end, we can see the stem latch, which is used for folding. The mechanism is excellent, easy to fold and unfold. I don't think it will degrade over time because there seem to be no weak points. Yet another good vibe about Turboant V8. If you want me to stop praising it and criticize something, let me show you the battery release button. Pull up and then you can take the battery out, but it very often feels as if it's stuck, and if you do it for the first time, you will definitely try pressing, unscrewing or whatsoever. No, it only needs to be pulled upwards and you're done. Of course, the scooter can work fine with just one single battery. You will count on just half of the range though. The charging dock is particularly interesting. Turboant's X7 battery has an input port, while this model has a battery docking station, so I'm a little confused here. Let's assume that it's being done because of good reasons. Going upwards, and here's a look at the handlebar with all the levers and buttons that you have access to. Let me first mention that in my case, the V8 turned out to not have the most suitable height for my size, and I feel as if the handlebar is too low for people above 180 centimeters. It feels even lower than what it is with the Mi Scooter Generation 1. The handle grips, on the other hand, are, as usual, excellent. Here's the acceleration lever. Careful with the rubber protection because this little pad seems to move. The display is good for keeping you up to date about the current speed, the riding mode, and even there are bars indicating the braking or acceleration levels, which are pretty nice if you can see them. Because even if it's a cloudy day, what you can distinguish on the display is close to nothing. If it's the darker part of the day, the display looks nice, but what looks a lot nicer are the LED lights on the front and on the rear of the scooter. Not only they contribute to the better aesthetical look of Turboant V8 at night, but they also illuminate the areas in front of you much better than just a single light. The brakes are good, the lever is very responsive, it's a standard disc brake on the rear, and combined with a motor brake in the front wheel, this scooter belongs to the champions about effective braking. As for the range achievements, because pretty sure that this is what everybody would be a little nervous about, it's definitely better than most other scooters in this niche because of the huge battery capacity, but I couldn't make it near the 50 miles threshold. Since there is no working odometer, it was actually very difficult to measure, but I think I'm going beyond half of what Turboant promised, meaning close to 40 kilometers with kind of normal to quick riding. If you want to reach something close to the 50-mile target, ride at speed 2 with cruise control on, in warm weather without wind, and stay away from braking, sort of mission impossible. In my list with improvement ideas and challenges that I faced, I'll put the scooter height, the tires with inner tube, the display visibility, the slow charging procedure with 2 batteries, the removable battery lock mechanism, and the lack of odometer and smartphone app support. I think the weight doesn't belong to this list due to the fact that we count on the remarkable 15 ampere-hours when combining the capacity of both of the batteries. So size does matter after all, doesn't it? Yeah, if this scooter could have been a little taller, that would have been great, you know. So I really wish Turboant decided at some point to upgrade the tires from these pneumatic tires to something like tubeless, to be rather indestructible, self-healing, something like that. It's definitely going to bring more comfort and not keep me nervous when I'm going outside with the possibility of getting a puncture. So this clearly is not the perfect e-scooter, but definitely one of the sturdiest I've ever ridden, with this construction being so solid that I can say it's lime grade. As for the rest, motor could have been a little bit better, but this 15 ampere-hour battery giving you amazing range. So I think I can definitely recommend it. Of course, if you have any other questions or some things you feel like you want to comment about, please be invited in the section below the video. As usual, link to the product, and by the way, there should be a running launch campaign at the moment, so make sure to check the video description for more details. I'm Michael, thank you very much for watching this episode. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!